thousands of years ago, saying the real name of a certain woodland animal could get you killed. So people invented a replacement, and you still use that replacement today. The word bear is a lie. It is a 6,000-year-old lie, and it is the oldest known euphemism in any human language. Let's talk about the ancient magic of linguistic taboo deformation. The word you use for that massive, fur-covered predator roaming the forests of North America, Europe, and Asia is not its true name. It never was. It is a code word, a replacement, a verbal disguise invented by your ancestors because they believed, with deadly seriousness, that speaking the animal's true name would summon it out of the woods to kill them. So what was the real name? Linguists have reconstructed it as H2RTOS. That was the Proto-Indo-European word for this animal, spoken roughly 6,000 years ago, long before writing existed. Proto-Indo-European is the hypothesized ancestor language that eventually branched into English, French, Hindi, Russian, Greek, Latin, and dozens of others. And in that mother tongue, the bear had a proper name. You can still hear echoes of it. The ancient Greeks said Arctos. The Romans said Ursus. In Sanskrit, it was rickshaw. The Hittites, writing on clay tablets between 1600 and 1200 BCE, recorded it as Hartaka, making their tablets some of the oldest written evidence of any Indo-European language. Even the word Arctic comes from Arctos, because the Greeks named the frozen north after the constellation Ursa Major, the great bear that dominates its sky. But something happened. As the Indo-European peoples migrated north into the dense cold forests of what would become Germany, Scandinavia, and the Slavic lands, they stopped saying the word. The people who lived alongside the most dangerous bears on the continent, the ones who encountered them while hunting, while foraging, while simply trying to survive, were precisely the people who refused to speak the animal's name. Why? Because of animism, the idea that all things possess a spiritual essence, an agency, a kind of consciousness. Animals, rivers, storms, and critically, words. In an animistic worldview, a name isn't just a label. A name is a thread connecting you to the thing it describes. Speak the name and you tug that thread. You alert the creature. You invite its attention. This connects to what Scottish anthropologist James Fraser called sympathetic magic in his landmark 1890 work, The Golden Bough. Fraser described two principles: that like produces like, and that things once connected remain connected. Under these rules, a name and the thing it names are bound together. To say the name is to perform an act of magic, whether you intend to or not. And so the Germanic peoples stopped saying H2RT koos. Instead, they called the creature the brown one. That's all bear means. It derives from the Proto-Germanic word built on bear, meaning brown, a description, a disguise, a verbal camouflage designed to let you talk about the most terrifying predator in your forest without drawing its gaze. The Slavic peoples did the same thing independently. They did not call it the brown one. They called it the honey eater. The Russian word medved comes from Proto-Slavic medved, a combination of med, meaning honey, and ed, meaning eat. The Poles went with niedźwiedź, same idea, different mask, same fear. As author Ralph Keyes put it in Time magazine, our ancient ancestors were so worried about bears they didn't even want to name them because they feared the bears might overhear and come after them. Keyes, in his 2010 book Euphemania, called this the oldest known euphemism in human history. We know the replacement word. We use it every day. But the word it replaced has been buried for millennia. And here is what makes this truly remarkable. The taboo worked so well that it erased itself. The original word vanished from entire language families. The euphemism became the only word anyone knew. This is the essence of taboo deformation. A word gets modified or replaced to avoid a perceived danger. And over time, the replacement becomes so entrenched that no one remembers there ever was an original. This concept of dangerous names was not limited to bears or to Northern Europe. In ancient Egypt, the true name of the sun god Ra was considered the most powerful secret in existence. One myth tells how the goddess Isis crafted a serpent to poison Ra, then refused him the antidote until he whispered his true name into her ear. The scribes who recorded this story noted that the name itself was too dangerous to write down. Isis used that name to place her son Horus on the throne. Knowledge of a true name meant dominion. The same logic appears in Jewish Kabbalism, where God's true name carries world-shaping power. It appears in Celtic folklore, where concealing your secret name protected you from enchantment. It also appears in a German fairy tale you know well, Rumpelstiltskin. The entire plot hinges on discovering the creature's true name to break his power. Even the hero Beowulf carries this tradition in his very identity. The philologist Henry Sweet proposed that Beowulf literally means bee-wolf in Old English. A kenning, a poetic code phrase for bear. A wolf to bees, a creature that raids hives. The greatest hero of Old English literature was named after an animal whose real name his people refused to speak. And the bear wasn't alone. The wolf was subject to similar taboos, though weaker ones. The Proto-Indo-European word was something like Beowulf, and various groups altered its sounds, shifting the sound kdu to a p producing wlpo, which eventually became the Germanic wolf. In Hungarian, the word for wolf is farkas, which apparently refers to the animal's tail. Another deflection, another mask. Even the French word for fox underwent a version of this process. The original French word was goupil, but the medieval beast tales featuring a clever fox character named Reynard became so wildly popular that people started just calling any fox a Reynard. The fictional name devoured the real one. This pattern, a euphemism replacing an original word, then itself becoming tainted and needing replacement, is what psychologist Steven Pinker named the euphemism treadmill in a 1994 New York Times article. As Pinker wrote, concepts, not words, are in charge. Give a concept a new name, and the name becomes colored by the concept. the concept does not become freshened by the name. We see this treadmill spinning today. The term special needs is now falling out of favor among disability advocates, replaced by the more direct word, disability. The cycle continues. But no example of the euphemism treadmill is older or more complete than the bear, a word so thoroughly replaced that we needed the tools of comparative linguistics, pioneered by scholars like Jacob Grimm and Ferdinand de Saussure, to even realize it had happened. Saussure, in 1879, predicted certain features of Proto-Indo-European that were not confirmed until a Polish linguist named Jerzy Kurylowicz examined Hittite texts in 1927. Saussure had died in 1913, never knowing he was right. 6,000 years ago, your ancestors looked into the dark tree line and knew something was watching. Something enormous, powerful, and they believed listening. So they invented a code, a simple, quiet little word that meant the brown one. They whispered it to their children. They carved it into the names of their villages: Berlin, Bern, Brno. And over thousands of years, the code became the only word anyone remembered. The real name? It's gone, buried under 6 millennia of fear. You say bear and think it's just a word, but it's a scar, a linguistic fossil of a time when humans believed that language itself was alive, that words had teeth, and that the wrong syllable spoken in the wrong forest could be the last thing you ever said.